Today's lesson, we're going to draw from an unlikely source. One of the readings that I read is the Zohar, which is one of the Kabbalahs, and they reference portions of the Old Testament and their teachings in there. And this one struck me. I thought it was interesting. And the verse reads, "You shall not plant the Asherah near the altar." That is, you shall not present to God any other spouse than the legitimate one, the altar of Adamah. As it is written, "An altar of earth shall you make unto me." And, just from that, what are your thoughts? What thoughts does that evoke within you? And Beth is not muted, so I will call upon for her thoughts.
I don't have any. I don't understand it.
Ah, okay. That's a good answer.
It's very honest.
I don't either.
Well, good. In that case, the one thing that we are tempted to do when we read these biblical scriptures is that we go to something that's in a literal sense. Okay, do not plant anything near the altar, but what is it that we should not be planting? And it explains that when it says that you shall not present anything to God other than the spouse that is legitimate. And the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, if you're a woman, then it's a husband. If you're a man, then it's a wife. But it makes no sense. So you're right to say that I don't understand. What is this saying? That was actually the correct answer and the only answer that you could give.
Mhm.
So the Asherah is another word for wife. It is the Hebrew word for wife. And Asher, or Asher, I may be pronouncing these incorrectly, is the word for husband. But the danger here is applying these terms in a literal sense, in a I don't want to say earthly sense, but a material sense. Husband, wife, okay. So don't bring somebody who's not your husband to this, or don't bring somebody who's not your wife to this, and it still does not make sense.
Mhm.
So obviously, this is not talking about a husband and wife. Obviously, it's talking about something much more than that, something spiritual for us. And when we look at this from the spiritual perspective, the husband and wife are no longer the traditional husband and wife that we would quickly assume. It becomes something more. They become principles. It is emotion and intellectual. It is reception with action. It is cause with effect. Those are the principles. Cause being the husband and effect being the wife. Or, as I've become fond of phrasing it, the husband is initiation, the beginning, and the wife is the completion, the end. This is what is being said. Do not bring a false beginning or a false end near the altar. Do not present a false beginning or a false end to God. As it is written, an altar of earth shall you make unto me. Now, is this making any more sense?
Um, it does. I mean that's a much better answer than the other one. I mean, I was thinking that uh the male female, which I don't even want to, phrase it that way, but that it's a unity that you can't separate. So that's kind of what when the principles, initiation and completion, it's the unity of the two that um is the lesson, I guess.
Very good. You're actually moving into something that's beyond this particular one.
Oh,
And actually, in the Gnostic teachings, they call it the bridal chamber. And it is that mystery that you are referring to where they become one.
mm,
So, very good. Excellent.
thank you.
And how about you, Sharon? Any thoughts there?
Not so much.
That's fine.
Um,
How about questions?
no, not so much either. I guess false beginnings and false endings, don't bring those to God is kind of I don't know, that's a little bit confusing to me about what that means exactly. Um, but your second explanation made a little bit more sense.
We're going to explain that in a moment.
Okay.
So, any thoughts you'd like to add, Beth?
I'm still struggling with it because there's like something that's like niggling in the back of my brain. It's uh, coherency is trying to form. Um, I keep hearing the word like ego. It's like don't bring your physical issues to reunification with the divine. It's like bring your true self would be your divine self. That's kind of what's going on in the back of my head, but it's fragmented, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. And yeah, that's the right path. And let's see if we can bring those fragments closer together with this. Because when we come to the altar, we think of an altar as a place of sacrifice. Yes? I'm seeing
No.
some nodding, some maybes. But where does the altar exist? Where does an altar belong? It belongs in a temple. Make sense?
A sacred space.
A sacred space, which is a temple. And where is the temple of, now this is key here, where is the temple of your God? So where is the temple of your God, Beth?
Well, like in my heart,
Which is,
myself, my inner self.
yes, yes, very good. Exactly. That's where the altar belongs. You are the temple, and the altar belongs in the temple. So when you've got this fragment that's saying, don't bring your physical stuff here, you're right. This has nothing to do with the physical aspects. they are they flow outward. This has everything to do with the internal aspects. The altar within you is a place of reconciliation. It's where you bring the emotional and the intellectual, and you find a way to bring them together. And we have a term for that. It's called empathy.
Mm.
And when you bring that emotion and infuse it with the intellect, or if you're an intellectual person like myself sometimes, then you bring the intellect and you infuse it with the emotional. And what you have done is you have created the bridal chamber within you. You have created a sacred space, a place of reconciliation. Because it's not one versus the other, it's one becoming part of the other, forming the whole, not forming something new. As Beth put it, it's a collection of fragments and bringing them together. Does that make sense now? Does that make better?
Yes.
How about for you, Sharon?
Yeah, it does. Hmm.
Good, good. Explain it from your perspective.
Uh-oh.
You don't have to get fancy or anything.
Gosh.
If you can well, say a few short words, that's fine. I'm not looking for anything extensive, just something that lets me know that you are putting this puzzle together. You're making this reconciliation. You've got an idea.
Well, it's my path, my journey, my focus on my temple, my altar. So if I guess keeping the physical stuff out of that is definitely you want to keep it pure, and that stuff it's just gonna muddy it all up. So keeping that inner space sacred like that, where it's you're safe and you're free to explore in your own way without all the other crap getting in. So anyway, that's what I think.
That's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. You don't
Okay.
want to, the reason why you don't want to bring what's happening on the physical, what's influencing you from outside to the altar inside is you really don't want those distractions because that's
Mhm.
what they are.
Yeah.
Distractions.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and we I continue here with an altar of earth given to God. And that's where it says, an altar of earth shall you make unto me. So it's an altar of earth given unto God. And this can only be demonstrated through your actions. Now, you are the soul, and the soul is light. And what does light do? You go into a dark room, you flip the switch, and what does the light do?
It reveals what's in the room. It reveals
Exactly.
what's around you.
It reveals what's around you, but more importantly, it emanates outward from that bulb. So if you are the light, then your actions are emanations of that light. You see how that's working there? Sandy?
Yeah, when you put it that way, I hadn't really thought about it because I thought about the light kind of being external, but certainly the light is also internal, obviously.
Exactly. You are your God's light.
Mhm, mhm,
And your God's light emanates from you and it emanates outward. So the altar given to God is it can only be demonstrated through your actions because it's not about gender roles, which is the first place people would go to with husband and
mhm,
wife.
mhm,
It's not about that. It's about the principles that they represent.
mhm.
I stumbled upon a discovery during my reading, and that is that we like to talk in metaphors. And it's understanding the metaphor. And the thing with metaphors is they're so organic that they can represent a multitude of ideas. And where the confusion comes from is finding the right idea that clicks with you.
Mhm, mhm. Right.
So this whole thing about making an altar for your God is about becoming closer to your God. Now, notice I did not say closer to God, but closer to your God, because it can only be your God, because you are the only one who can perceive God, because your perception is not going to be like my perception.
Mhm.
Therefore, it is no longer God, it is your God. You cannot bring an altar to God, you can only bring an altar to your God. Because where does your God dwell?
Within you.
Within you, exactly. So, what's being put forth here is that the legitimate spouse that you are to present to your God is your ability to discern the authenticity from the duplicity within yourself. In other words, it's learning to be honest with yourself. So, does this make sense for you, Sharon?
It does. Hmm.
And how about you, Beth
Yeah, so much more.
and Sandy?
It does because it's so completely it just seems to be so completely opposite from the text. It's just it's sad in a way because a lot of people would look at that and never see anything past the literal interpretation. And and like that's why I said when you read it, I don't understand that at all. I don't even get that. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So, and I don't even like it. I mean, as it's written, I don't even really like it. It's something that, I wouldn't, I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me at all. So obviously, this is an entirely different and, as far as I'm concerned, more clear interpretation of what it actually means. Much better. Much better. Hmm.
Good, good. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
yeah.
Are there any questions from anybody? All right, then. This was much shorter than I had anticipated. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing because if you put it in this perspective, you're grasping more than what you originally thought you were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're not struggling to reach, and that's important because what you're learning is that when something happens to you, you're not going to go to the first place of being angry or upset or anything like that. You're not going there as much as you used to. You're beginning to question, okay, what am I missing here?
Mm-hmm.
Because it all comes back to your interpretation. Many of the difficulties we experience in our life is our misinterpretation of actions, misinterpretations of words, because we go through life and yes, in grade school, speak up, ask questions, and as we become adults, working in living life and everything, it's shut up.
Yeah.
So we get conflicting messages.
Mm.
And now you're beginning to take those conflicting messages and you're bringing them together and you may be saying to yourself, okay, wait a second now. If I was supposed to be this way and now they want me to be this way, what am I missing here? So it's not that you dismiss one or the other, it's that you take the two of them and you learn to discern. And I will leave you with this. When you confuse wife and husband with man and woman, you have not made an error. You have more to discover. And this presentation is only a guide which warns of blind acceptance of teachings, because the false spouse is acceptance of a teaching that you question.
Mm.
And that is very important. When you blindly accept a teaching, even when it doesn't resonate with you, you have deceived yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I want to thank you for your participation, and I want to thank you for allowing me to share this with you.